Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to the new edition of this particular YouTube channel, Analyze with Ade Ayo. Alright, so it has been a while we predict games on basketball, most especially first quarter. And don't forget, one particular attribute of this particular basketball first quarter is that as we all know that this particular market always generates a very large odds. Like we can easily get a big odds from it, like 1.9, 1.8, 1.6 and like that. And one disadvantage of it is that the bookmakers will not give us enough odd line in regard with this particular market. Now, what we want to go for in this particular game happens to be the first quarter alone, and I will give you guys the in-depth analysis of each games that we have. Most of these particular games, we have 10 games under the basketball NBA leagues that will be played midnight, and we are going to check each game's odd line. Actually, I don't like predicting my games as under, but this time around we have both over points and under points for all the 10 games prediction. So the number one game that we have happens to be the match between New Orleans Pelicans against Indiana Pacers. So the Pacers may actually maintain a high tempo offense. Currently they are averaging over 28 points in the first quarter against Pelicans historically. So New Orleans is coming off an emotional 25-point comeback win where they started slow, but they are looking to rectify early game energy. So for this particular game, we are predicting over points. Actually, based on my own analysis, this particular game is expected to end up as over 62 first quarter. But the only odd line that the bookmakers are currently providing us happens to be over 57.5 and under 57.5. So we are going for this. And the next game that I have on my list happens to be the match between Philadelphia against Dallas Mavericks. So let's check that game also. Philadelphia against Dallas Mavericks. So for this particular fixture, the match between Philadelphia against Dallas Mavericks, I noticed that Philadelphia, which happens to be playing at home, they rank third in the league for for first quarter scoring, averaging 31.1 points per game. So their opponents, Dallas Maverick, although it happens to be that according to the information that I have with me, I noticed that one of their main attacker currently has gone to another team, but their current offensive players, they are doing well when it comes to fast pace gameplay. Alright, so this particular game is actually expected to end up as over 59.5 in the first quarter, and the odd line that the bookmakers are providing us for the first quarter happens to be 57.5. So at odd of 1.8 for odd. Right. So the third game that I have on my list happens to be the match between Toronto Raptors against Boston Celtics. Guys, this particular game that you guys are seeing, Toronto Raptors against Boston Celtics, actually I would have loved to give you guys the reason why I'll be going for this particular game as first quarter under point. There are some key players from both sides that are currently absent due to some injuries, but if I should start explaining the factors behind this will actually take our time. Actually, on my list here, the proper under point for this particular game supposed to be under 56.5 for the first quarter, but the odd line that the bookmakers are currently providing for us is currently giving us under 57.5. That is additional 1 point extra, so we are good to go with this particular game as under 57.5 first quarter at odd of 1.8 for odd. Alright, so I already explained to you guys this particular match. The reason why we are going for under point is because there are some of their key players are currently absent, and which makes the one of this particular team first quarter efficiency to drop, primarily because one of their playmaker is absent. Based observing most of their recent gameplay, that's the results that we currently have with that. So we have first quarter under 57.5, for the match between Toronto Raptors and Boston Celtics. All right, so the first game that I'll be looking into happens to be the match between Detroit Pistons against Charlotte Hornets. So this particular game, we are actually going for under, and the reason behind this particular game, the reason why we are predicting this particular game as under, is because these two teams that we are looking at, they are not consistent with scoring. Especially Detroit, they often struggle with shooting percentage early in the game. So this particular game is under. And naturally, I would have loved to go for under 55.5, but the bookmakers are currently providing us the first quarter total points under 56.5 at odd of 1.97 odd. So I have another game which happens to be the fifth game. That is Memphis Grizzlies versus Washington Wizards. So this particular game, we are to expect over 64.5. But what the bookmakers are currently providing us with regarding the first quarter over under, we have 58.5. That is to our own advantage. So Washington defense is currently allowing an average of 121.5 points per game, and Memphis, they thrives on fast break points. So predicting this particular game as over is actually the best, because Washington's, that is the away team, their lack of interior defense will lead to a high scoring opening frame for this particular match. So we are going for first quarter over 58.5 at odd of 1.8 to odd. Alright, so the next game that we are going to look into happens to be the match between Golden State Warriors versus Phoenix Suns. So this particular game, we are expecting under 58.5 actually, but let's see what the bookmakers are providing us. Alright, so the odd line that the bookmakers are currently providing us with happens to be exactly 58.5, but I'll be going for the under. And the reason why I'll be going for this particular game as under is because one of these particular two teams that you guys are seeing, one of these two teams, their defense is very tight, to be sincere, very tight. And there are some other factors that I consider in the process of doing analysis. I've made a video on how to make I've made a video on the model on how to get your prediction right on over, most especially that one is based on over first quarter basketball, first quarter total points. So that's it. You can go and watch it, browse through this particular channel, and you are going to find the video there. So this particular game, I'll be going for under 58.5 first quarter at odd of 1.83 odd. So let's quickly move on to the next game, the seventh game on the list, and that is the match between Utah Jazz versus Orlando Magic. So this particular game that you guys are seeing, let's expect under 54.5, but I'm very sure the bookmakers should actually provide us the odd line that is more than that, under 54.5. Wow, currently the bookmakers are providing us with odd line of over 61.5 and under 61.5, but for me this particular game supposed to end up as under. And the reason why the bookmakers are currently providing a big odd line for this particular match is because the home team that you guys are seeing, Utah Jazz, this particular team, they average 31.5 points in the first quarter. But where we are going to have issue regarding to the first quarter of this particular game is because of the defense of the away team, because this particular Orlando Magic, they happens to be one of the best teams with the best defense when it comes to first quarter. So that's one of the factors, in addition with the manual analysis, that validate this particular match to end up as under let me check, under 54.5 first quarter. But right now we are having under 61.5, so we are going for that. So that is to our own advantage. All right, so moving on to the next game, we have the match between Sacramento Kings against Portland Trailblazers. So this particular game is expected to end up as over 66.5, but the bookmakers, they'll be providing us with over 61.5. at odd of 1.96 odd. So do you know the reason why I'll be going for these particular games as over 61.5 first quarter? Apart from the manual analysis, this particular match happens to be a classic high scoring West Coast matchup. These teams previously combined for a massive 68 points in the first quarter in October, but neither of these particular two teams prioritize defense in the opening minutes because they don't care, they just want to score points. So their first quarter, we should be expecting more points in it. Alright, so we are going for over 61.5 at odd of 1.96 for this particular match, Sacramento against our Portland Trailblazers. Alright, so the last game that we have here happens to be the match between LA Clippers against Los Angeles Lakers. So this particular game is actually expected to end up as over. There is a particular player that I want you guys to look out for, Luca Doncic. This particular guy, I think of recent, the guy scored 20 points by himself in the first quarter against Los Angeles Clippers. So this particular match in the first quarter, apart from the manual analysis that we use using the model of the first quarter total points, you can actually consider this particular fact to it. So on my list here, based on my own analysis, the expected outcome of this particular first quarter game is supposed to be over 63.5, but I'm very sure the bookmakers will be providing us with a lower odd line. So we have 58.5 at odd of 1.87 odd for the first quarter over point. So we have 9 games already, and with these 9 games, we are able to generate 308 odds. Just 9 games in basketball. And if you happen to be someone that doesn't really like combining too much games together, you can actually go for these particular games as single. You can watch our video, our model on this particular strategy. If you watch the video, you understand that this particular strategy is amazing. Alright, so thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video, and don't forget to like our video, drop your comments, and if you are just joining us for the first time, kindly make sure that you subscribe to this particular channel. See you guys. Bye bye.